Welcome to the Advent IM presentation on the cyber threat to the built environment. This was originally presented at the 2013 Counter-Terror Expo Cybersecurity and Electronic Terrorism Conference. And now, Mike Gillespie, Managing Director of Advent IM.
This presentation is dealing with the way we think about threat to our physical assets and our built environment. We will be examining how our structures have changed and continue to evolve through technology. This has implications not only for businesses, but to our critical national infrastructure. We will also be discussing our understanding of cyber and our attitude to the concept. Secure security systems will also be discussed, and a challenge made to the assumption that security systems are inherently secure. Finally, we will be talking about the impact all of this has on how we carry out threat assessments and the new evolution of security. Some definitions to help us along the way are shown on screen. Lots of industries use these terms, and whilst we may share some common ground, for the purposes of this presentation, we have included this guide for clarity. So when we refer to any of these concepts as the presentation progresses, you should have a strong grasp of exactly what we mean. Even if a building was not built to be a smart building, it may have morphed into one. Fabulous integrated systems now sit all over buildings, controlling our environments, our movements, and our safety. As users, we rarely consider it unless we work in facilities management, and yet it has a massive part to play in everyone's working day. Frequently, these systems will be hooked into a central control unit of some description. Perhaps not Starship Enterprise, but in some cases not far off, and an integration platform will often sit at the heart of them. Don't get me wrong, we are in favour of integrated systems, particularly when we can see security systems being used for cross-silo purposes and really adding value to a business or organisation. Those interested in learning more about this, please see our Security Integration for Business Enablement presentation and our Integrated Security Systems video. Integration offers cost savings and efficiency gains, but it also creates a need for a much more holistic approach to security. There is good business logic behind decisions to integrate systems. They can complement each other, and clever use can see things like security adding value to a business. For instance, setting passive infrared detectors to report by exception in low usage areas, enabling air conditioning and lighting to be turned off or down during trough occupancy. The savings in this area can be huge. The end result is a more efficient building that can be managed from almost anywhere. For instance, the air conditioning can be accessed remotely, over the net, by the facilities manager, and turned off, down, or fixed to a certain temperature. Key to that sentence, though, is accessed over the net. Many security systems and integration platforms are now IP-based. Therefore, they need to be appropriately protected in the same way that you would protect any other network containing valuable information. The challenge, though, is that many systems produced for use in the built environment have been designed to be functional but not secure. This includes physical security systems, many of which are not subject to secure design, and there needs to be much more emphasis on secure security design in the future. So we have a fabulous building with some very impressive kit in both building management and security. And these systems are networked, and they are controlling our air quality, our security systems, and our access in or out of places. An organisation could well be threatened by whatever sits in its vicinity, like a nearby animal testing lab, which might attract the attention of pressure groups, or by location in a high crime area. Or it may be that the building the organisation is situated in is multi-tenanted, and one of their neighbouring businesses is targeted by a threat. If its systems are networked and they aren't properly protected or are insecure in the first place, the building is now under threat from anyone with a computer, with web access and a desire to do some harm. Your building just got a new address for cyber attack purposes. So our networked building is now a potential target for anyone. You may know all about your business, what it does to protect its systems. But what about the building management? Do you share a building? Do you know what your neighbours do? Could vulnerabilities in their systems affect everyone in the building? It could come from anywhere. It could come from the other side of the world. It could be state-sponsored. It might be looking for a way in and discover IP security systems that are not firewalled. What kind of damage could a malign penetration do, and how quickly? So we have established that network systems create potential vulnerabilities, and that traditional geographically based threats have now been augmented with the threat from cyberspace. But what could that look like potentially? It could result in no one getting in, or no one getting out. No vehicles getting through barriers. Security systems compromised, leaving people and assets vulnerable. CCTV systems breached or ineffective. Fire alarms or fire prevention such as sprinklers disabled. Emergency lighting not working. Air conditioning not working. Temperature and air quality out of control in a building no one can get into. So we have a wonderfully capable building, but we have, by unintended consequence, created a hugely vulnerable asset that is open to the whole of cyberspace if we don't secure it properly and holistically. It's like putting a door in the middle of cyberspace. It's only a matter of time before someone walks through it. If you're lucky, it will be us doing the penetration testing for you. We know we need to protect our networks. We use antivirus, we patch, we use firewalls and encryption, and we educate our users in keeping our network safe. But do we take similar precautions about those network systems looking after our built assets? We have just seen the speed with which a building can be effectively disabled. That may not be the only threat. The attack may be to take information for future attacks, such as stealing or using CCTV images, perhaps entry data to find out when target staff members are on site, or to test disable an alarm system for a combined attack across several systems in the future. How did we source our system? Some security systems are built insecurely, and so the challenge is to buy well in the first place. The objective is security, so buy secure, keep it secure, protect it, patch it, and maintain it. Our physical infrastructure is coming under the same threats as the rest of our more traditional systems. Think about this. An organization might be spread over several sites. They may not be the only inhabitants of each site, but their systems may be linked. An attack on a building could provide a route in, not only to that building, but to other buildings. We have no idea who the other tenants may be, for instance. Satellites, nuclear power plants, mobile phone masts, air traffic control systems, all have been shown to be potentially vulnerable. It might be suppliers to these critical functions that get attacked. It may be connected systems or other parts of the supply chain. All organizations have a role to play in the protection of our critical national infrastructure at some point, and we have to start by securing our own part of cyberspace that controls our building services. We cannot face a holistic threat in any other way than holistically. Hopefully we have clearly outlined here the implications for our physical assets if we fail to include the cyber threat in our threat and risk assessments. The problem does not go away if you ignore it. In order to protect ourselves properly, we need to look at threat and its treatment holistically. Viruses can be introduced to any system, and we need to be able to protect them properly. It is an irony that the smarter our systems get, the more vulnerable they may become. But by understanding the threats, we can build an appropriate and effective defense and have a timely response mechanism in place. To summarize then, our smart buildings, be they built that way or having evolved that way, present us with a new threat landscape. The threat is no longer a geographically precise one, and it has the potential to affect our critical national infrastructure too. Our thinking around cyber needs to change and stop being discrete from other security functions. We must stop assuming that the new system we bought is secure simply because it is a security system. And we have to make sure that all IP security systems are treated with the same care and attention a normal network would be. Finally, we have to ensure that this additional element features in our assessment for threat and risk. The implications are clear. The evidence is starting to pile up. The cyber threat to physical assets is not going to go away.
We hope you found this presentation useful, and we hope that you'll come and visit our website at www.advent-im.co.uk and come and have a look at the blog. If you'd like to connect to us, you can find us on LinkedIn and on Twitter.